So red light therapy is phenomenal for increasing the mitochondrial function. And I think what people need to understand about that, like you might not understand, first of all the cells are running off of light. When everything has more light, everything works better. Think about it like, can you see in the dark? If the cells have more light, they can actually increase their capability and their functionality to put out more ATP, but the light is also increasing the voltage. So when you increase cellular voltage, you have a higher repair and faster. So that's number one. So red light is amazing.
Breaking the gray.
Welcome back to the Rebel Scientist podcast. I'm Chantal here with my co-host Sarah Turner, the Rebel Scientist herself. And today's guest has the most extraordinary story. She went from living with autoimmune disease and infertility to becoming a pioneer in regenerative health. She's the founder of the Institute of Regenerative Health, where she teaches practitioners and health seekers a step-by-step blueprint of true healing. We are so excited to have you today. Welcome, Carrie.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Carrie. Yes, we've been wanting to get you on for a while and for various reasons it didn't happen. So it's so lovely to see you today. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. I know I'm a hard woman to pin down. Sorry.
It is. I mean, that was a great intro. Maybe you could just elaborate a little bit on your story for people who don't know you yet.
Sure. So I really kind of, my whole life, I grew up as a sick kid. I had a lot of, I would say ailments as a child. I was born with a reflex valve issue that was bringing urine into the kidneys. So from a young age, my parents thought I was colicky, but I developed loads of infections. I ended up on a course of 6 months straight of antibiotics as an infant to cure this infection, which then led into becoming immune to all of these antibiotics. And then that turned into a reflex valve surgery that didn't go right. Then I had a second surgery. After the second surgery, I sprung a leak and ended up with a third surgery. So I had 3 surgeries under 1 year old. And that kind of set the stage with those antibiotics and all that for my immune health as a child. So moving into childhood, I had chronic asthma. I was on albuterol and steroids, and I always had asthma attacks and pneumonia and, just lots of stuff that I realized wasn't like the normal girl that I would coexist with, right? I had belly bloat really bad, and I was a dancer and a gymnast. So you can imagine as a girl going, to class and your belly's round and hard and you're like, why am I different than everybody else? Was quite difficult. And so it was really my passion from a young age to figure out health, like what is health and why is my health different, and really trying to understand that. So I decided that I wanted to go to school for dietetics and nutrition science and really understand the science of nutrition, or so I thought, or whatever I was doing wrong, and try to help myself so I could help others. And I went to school for exactly that. I went to St. Catherine for dietetics, and I quickly realized that was not health. Mm-hmm. And so I actually never finished my dietetics degree because I was so, kind of shocked by the ADA and the foods we were feeding really, really sick people. And so I went a different route and started going into the holistic side of things. But after years and years of college education, in dietetics and nutrition science, I was actually diagnosed with early onset lupus, Hashimoto, and fibromyalgia, as well as unexplained infertility when I was 30. And I remember this kind of shocking moment of how does this happen? I've had children. I wasn't infertile before. What shifted? How did I develop these diseases? They're not in my genetic lineage. And we're taught, everything's so genetic. Mm-hmm. And so I remember asking my doctor, how does this happen? And she said, well, we don't know, but you'll just take these medications for the rest of your life and you'll live a relatively normal but shorter life. And that was just like Happy Tuesday, it was such a strange interaction. And I remember the shock, all that stuff. But there was this moment within me that said, okay, if this can happen, I can unwind it. I don't know how, but something shifted in my body, whether it's, stress, toxins, whatever it was. I wasn't sure, but that set my trajectory to healing myself. And I'm so, so grateful for being a sick kid and for the experience of having dis-ease and having the tenacity and the discipline to solve it, because now that really led into me training into everything I could in regenerative detoxification, soil health, understanding the endocrine system, understanding trauma, all of that. So I guess the backstory would be when I was diagnosed with these diseases was right after I came out of a 10-year extremely abusive marriage. And it was like an emotional collapse. You know, the physical body couldn't hold anymore. And once I reached, you know, quote unquote safety, I was in my own home with my children, everything shut down. And so many of us have the story as women, you know, either we're in abusive relationships or we're over driving and we're overworking and we're not, you know, processing our emotions. And then we have a physical collapse and we think it's all physical, but it's not. So that really was my journey into healing myself. And then when I healed myself, I said, oh my God, this was not as hard as people make it. You know, we're spending billions of dollars on disease research. And why aren't we researching health? Right? Why aren't we studying health instead of studying disease, or dis-ease as I call it? And so I set it out as my mission to learn everything I could. And I opened a clinical practice 10 years ago. It was not like, you know, just, hey, I have a clinic now. It was like meeting people in coffee shops and at your kitchen table. And slowly but surely, as I worked, you know, multiple jobs, I was waitressing and teaching yoga and seeing clients. And eventually I have the clinic that I'm sitting in today, Wise Wellness Holistic Clinic, where I worked really alone and I served one patient at a time, helping them reverse chronic disease. And then in the pandemic, I was deemed non-essential, as so many of us were, right? So holistic clinics were non-essential, but McDonald's and liquor stores were. But it was actually the best thing that ever happened because it forced me to make my work global. Yeah. And so what I did during that time was actually went to Mexico. And I had this dream of like, Carrie, train people to do what you do. You're one woman. And I was working like 70 hours a week. And that was really the birthing of the Institute of Regenerative Health. And now we are a globally accredited and licensed school. We're globally accredited by the International Practitioners of Holistic Medicine. We're one of the most advanced curriculums in natural health that exist. And we're just doing the things. We're just showing up, training practitioners left and right. And then the last like deep passion, I would say, that kind of makes up who I am is really the deep soul work, is really helping men and women come home to who they are. As an individual. And so you might not know this because we haven't spoken in a while, but I just founded the Regenerative Soul Institute. And we have a full, curriculum on talking about the quantum physics of emotions and how they affect our toroidal field in our lives. And we do global retreats and sacred plant medicine, all sorts of great things. So, yeah. So that's
amazing.
Wow. What a story. That's just brilliant. I love the way you drop that in. Oh, and now I train people on how to nourish the soul. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, it really is a fabulous story, and well done to you. I mean, that's, you know, to go from where you are to where you are now, it just shows what can be done with that kind of tenacity. When you talk about like training people with their souls, are you kind of talking about like more meaning, or how are you interpreting that in a quantum physics way? I'm quite interested in that.
Yeah. So I think, the biggest thing is most people at the soul level are disconnected. Yeah. And what I've realized is disease is dis-ease, right? And they're all connected. So what we see is that if there's an imbalance in your field, the imbalance happens in your field before it happens in the body. So we've all had the experience of like having a breakup or a job loss, right? Go back to our younger days before we were entrepreneurs. And you are so sick, you can't get off the couch, right? Like you're like, I have no appetite. I can't get off the couch. My apartment's a mess. I have no energy. I don't want to be here, right? But if that person picks up the phone, they say that broke up with you, and calls you and says, I've made a terrible mistake. Can I come over? You would shoot off your couch. You'd shower as fast as you could. Your whole apartment would be clean and your makeup would be done, right? And you have life force that seems to come out of nowhere. And that is really how much the emotions govern the physical body. And so many of us don't realize that. And a breakup is kind of an extreme example. We all can relate to that, but we're actually internalizing emotions all day, every day, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm in the car and someone almost cut me off and now my heart's racing and my muscles are shaking, but I keep driving. Well, that goes into the tissues. And I always say, the issues are in the tissues, and the emotional issues are in the fascial tissues. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a good way to remember it. So like say I don't process trauma, or, you know, my dad left when I was a little girl, or whatever it was, that trauma is stored. And then that trauma starts to impact the organ systems, and different emotions affect different organs. Like we all have heard the liver is anger, but it's also repressed sadness. It also affects the gallbladder. You know, we have abandonment wound that affects the abdomen, the stomach. And so, you know, abandonment can be anything from like a parent left me or got lost at a store, or I felt abandoned in this situation, right? And so I start to see all of these things, and we actually have like, you know, all of our meridians. We have gallbladder, parasympathetic, sympathetic, large intestine, you know, you're going all through the body, lungs, small intestine, and you're going all the way down through the meridians. And you can actually test each meridian, whether you're on or off. And so actually I have a pendulum in my pocket if you want me to show you. But like you can test whether you're on or off. And what happens is when you have an emotion that is taking up real estate in the body, I kind of say it's like taking up real estate. It's costing you rent. And what happens is as the emotions are, you know, say they settle into a tissue, they are sucking your life force out actually at a mineral salt level. So you're losing mineral salts, essential mineral salts, you're losing the tissue salts, and it's decreasing the voltage in that location. And healing is voltage. So if you know, that's why red light is so great. And we'll get into that shortly because it's increasing the mitochondrial voltage,
For
right?
sure, yeah.
But if you don't have enough water, that's a whole other thing, right? You won't be able to do it. But so just kind of looking at, you know, these biohacks, what people are missing is it all comes down to the voltage view of the body.
Yeah.
And so if I have emotion taking up real estate and sucking those tissue salts out, using all the minerals up, that voltage declines, that cell all starts to disintegrate. And then we call them cancer cells. Mm-hmm. Well, cancer cells is nothing more than low voltage. And the cell has gotten to such a low voltage that it actually has gone into like single cell eukaryote state and says, I'm in the world alone. I just need to replicate. And it starts replicating broken, not realizing it's broken because it doesn't have the voltage to repair itself. So that's just one example. But when we have emotions like really settled into certain tissues, we start to drain the battery. So I want you to think of like a battery pack. Like here's my parasympathetic, et cetera. I have a battery pack. If I have a lot of anxiety, right, this is going to keep draining this battery pack, which is my parasympathetic nervous system. Once it hits zero, and this is Dr. Jerry Tennett's work, by the way, I've been so blessed to study with him. Once it hits zero, it flips on its head. The polarity flips over. And once it flips on its head, try to think of charging your phone from the wrong end. Doesn't work. Mm-hmm. No matter what you do, it doesn't work. So you actually have to get the polarities flipped back over to then be able to charge the battery up. So that's one thing, is like understanding how emotions affect our biology. That's one of the things that we really go into in the Regenerative Soul Institute, because you can't have access to your soul self if you don't move all of the debris in front, mm-hmm. right? So we help people like kind of clear the debris, understand and recognize where the emotions are trapped and where they've depleted voltage in the body. And then also from a quantum physics perspective, everything in life is polarity, right? Positive and negative, we know that, yin and yang, masculine and feminine. Everything in life exists in polarity. Well, we also have a toroidal field. Everything, all energy in life is toroidal. So it's from the center coming back around, spinning around, right? We have if you kind of Google right now while you're watching this podcast, toroidal field, you'll see those pictures that you know you've seen before. Well, everything is toroidal. So as we have traumas in our life, we will create a little hole in the field, right? Little tiny hole, a little black hole comes in the field. Maybe it's abandonment, or maybe it's you lost all your wealth or something, anything like, okay, I'm not safe. And these tear little holes in the field. And what that does is it becomes like a vacuum, like kind of just sucks out. And what happens when something comes out? It's got to come back in. So we will continue to manifest the same wounds over and over and over until we heal those toroidal tears. So we really kind of start to identify where are the tears in your field, where are the holes in the field, and then help them come back to what is your blueprint without all the imprints, right? Accessing that divine blueprint. So that's some of the work that we do. We work with really, really beautiful, sacred, gentle medicines that really help people like come home to who they are and find their insight and their wisdom. And so it's really more of a spiritual evolution into self. And there's a whole lot that goes into the curriculum. It would take way too long to explain here, but it's really about understanding the quantum physics, understanding the emotions, understanding the imprints, understanding how to clear them. And so that's what the Regenerative Soul Institute's about. And then, the Institute of Regenerative Health is the body. We really work on the body. We do focus on both the body and the energetic. We have a whole module on the energetic anatomy of illness because it's really important that we're understanding trauma and how it impacts the biology. But I would say that the practitioner training is like really rooted in healing this vessel that we have. And one of my sayings is let the body heal the mind. So many people are doing all this mindset work and they're doing therapy and then they're eating trash. And it's like, you can't fix your mind if your gut's broken. Talk about gut brain health. You have produced dopamine and serotonin and norepinephrine, all these things that are produced. 90% of our serotonin is produced in the gut. If we can't produce these things, we can't actually feel those emotions that we're trying to trick ourselves into feeling. And so I really love kind of like working through the body and then going into the spiritual. It's kind of like an infinity. I see how they weave together. It's like let the body heal the mind. Once you've gotten into that space, now start to access more of that spiritual and soul self.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. It's so nice to also hear you speak about that balance because you're touching on all those bodies, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and obviously the spiritual, which is the being and all these things you're touching on. And I wondered if you could also give us a little bit more of an indication because you mentioned the red light and obviously the role that light plays in your courses or when dealing with clients, how that fits into obviously everything from our cellular healing to just the soul healing in general.
Yeah, so light is everything. So I want to just say really quickly that we have an entire section called Understanding the Light Within. And everything that, we're so focused in the Western world, even in the Eastern world on functional labs and blood tests and all this stuff. And it's so inaccurate, to be honest. It's such a small window of our actual health. And so I want to just start with, first of all, our body's 80% lymphatic and 20% blood. So our lymphatic fluid is the major fluid that's actually cleaning our tissues and cells. And our blood is what's feeding our tissues and cells. So the lymph system's job is to actually keep everything out of the blood. And once it's made it into the blood, we're kind of past that point. I mean, we can absolutely pull it back, but it means that the lymph has lost control. So the blood is a very microscopic snapshot that's not very accurate. Like I was getting blood work for 5 years before I was diagnosed saying something's wrong with me. And doctors were saying, everything's normal. It's in your head. Have some Prozac. And I was like, what? Like, no, it's not in my head. Like, so it was really interesting to see, when I was like getting all these bloods and I'm normal. I'm clearly not normal. And then one day, nothing was normal. It was all autoimmune. Every marker was off. And that's because the blood isn't an accurate window. It's really just showing you a snapshot of how long things have been off. So then we have to come out of that chemical and lab space, right? We're so focused on the biochemical view of the body, and we need to be focused on the electric view of the body. And we are electric, right? We are electric and the earth is magnetic. What's the difference between you, me, and a dead person? We have the same organs. We have the same, everything is the same. One of us has a current and one doesn't, right? So all life comes down to electrical charge or not. So when we get deeper and we go underneath that, light is actually a nutrient. And people don't realize this. It's an essential nutrient. And this is why we have so much illness. We have light illness, right? We're under fluorescent lights. We're not outside. We're not grounding. And we all know these basic things. But I think, people are like, okay, yeah, I should go outside. Sun's good for me. I need vitamin D. It's like so much deeper than that. It's so much deeper than that. And light is a nutrient. So just like food and water, light has a biological input for our cells. Our cells are what's called photoreceptive, which means that they sense and respond to specific wavelengths of light, which we'll get into the red light shortly. But what light does is it not only sets our circadian rhythm, our day-night cycles, which balances our hormones, our endocrine system, it's regulating our hormones, it's creating a hormonal release. It drives all mitochondrial function, and it affects like a deep level of our mood and our cognition and our brain function. And what people don't realize is that, like when we don't have enough light, so we hear of like the mitochondria functioning off of glucose plus oxygen equals ATP, right? You eat food, pairs with oxygen. That's like the high school Krebs cycle we learned. Okay, there's the chemical view, but there's like 92 other steps they aren't telling you, right? Partially because they don't understand it, because it can't scientifically be proven. But before we actually have mitochondrial ATP being produced, we actually need enzymes. And if enzymes aren't present, they're the catalyst of all cellular function. They can't function. But before that, we need light. So all of our cells emit a small level of biophotonic light, and that light acts as a communicator, as a signal for every single cell in the body. So if your light is low, your enzyme function is going to be low. Your mitochondrial output of your ATP will be low. And so at the core level of everything is actually light before food. I don't know if you've ever like gone on a vacation, you're out in the sun, and you're just like, I'm not really even really hungry. I don't know if you've had that. It's because the light is your food. You're actually getting nutrients from the sun. If we dive a little deeper into like circadian regulation, morning sunlight, we know that it has to enter our eyes because it's the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is our master clock that's in our hypothalamus. And this is synchronizing our hormone production. It's synchronizing our sleep cycles. It's synchronizing our digestion, our metabolism. Well, what are the most common things you hear in the biohacking space? I have insomnia. My hormones are dysregulated. I need peptides, or I need this. And it's like, you actually just need light. You need a lot of light, right? So natural light, red light, a lot of just light will fix a lot of the diseases or disorders that people are experiencing. The sun isn't just producing vitamin D and all that. We know that infrared light. So if we're looking at red light, 600, 700 nanometers, and near infrared light, right, is going to penetrate deeper into the tissues than any other wavelength of light. So what that does, and why light and red light is so important to me, is mitochondrial activation is number one. So as I think it's Dr. Jack Kruse, he talks about light so much, but he always says that all disease begins at the mitochondrial level. But how does the mitochondria get sick? It doesn't have enough light. Right? So we have to go one step before that. So we have red and near infrared light. And what happens is these, like when we have red and near infrared light, the photons are absorbed by what's called cytochrome C oxidase, just to be a little scientific for you, CTO. And this is a key enzyme that's inside the mitochondrial electron transport chain. And this is required in order for that mitochondrial electron transport to happen. So what light does is it actually dislodges nitric oxide, and then that actually will block CCO, the cytochrome C oxidase, and then it restores electron flow in the body. It boosts your oxygen. It increases your utilization of light and of ATP, and then it helps you produce more ATP and more energy. So this actually makes cells more energized and capable of repair significantly faster. Those are a couple of the reasons that I love light and red light. We know it's anti-inflammatory. It actually has, what red light can actually trigger is a brief kind of like pulse of reactive oxygen species, ROS, from light exposure. And then it activates the NRF2 pathway, which upregulates antioxidant defenses inside the body, and superoxide dismutase and glutathione. So there's just like so much that goes into it. I don't know how much you want me to dive in, but everything from anti-inflammatory to mitochondrial activation to nitric oxide release and circulation, to gene expression and tissue repair. Like light transcription factors, we have NFKB, we have TGF8, and we have all these different ones that they regulate collagen synthesis. They activate stem cells. They help tissues repair and rebuild. So there's so many reasons why light is essential to all cellular function, and having an additional source of red light is going to help you just stay younger longer in every single way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, obviously you're kind of singing our tune because this is what we're all about. Of course, you know that we target the gut-brain axis. Now, I wonder if you're kind of on the same page, thinking that that is one of the most important kind of pathways in the body. Because, there are a lot of companies that use light to focus on brain, but actually, the gut is where a lot of these things start. And you briefly then just touched on inflammation. What's your kind of view on inflammation? Because obviously, if you've got an inflamed gut, you're going to have inflammation also in your brain. So is that something you focus on too?
100%. So I always say, if you don't start with the gut, there's no point in starting.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, because it's like, if you think of the gut, so everybody has some level of leaky gut, right? This is glyphosate, pesticides, chemicals, anything we come in contact with starts to, deteriorate the integrity of the gut lining. So if you think of your gut lining, it should be strong, like a piece of silk, like really thin, but strong, strong, strong. Well, think of micro tears being, somebody takes a little needle and starts micro tears in those and poking little holes. Well, now you have a fine mesh strainer for a gut. So then everything's kind of flooding through. And just like I had just talked about the lymphatic system, what happens when waste is coming through the gut and now it's flooding into the lymphatic system, and what's happening? Systemic inflammation. Not just gut inflammation, also systemic inflammation, which is now affecting the liver. It's affecting the lymph. It's affecting the vagus nerve. I mean, so many things are being impacted by leaky gut, but also the integrity of the gut lining. If you're eating really inflammatory foods or the gut's not doing well, all of these things, inflammation in the gut is the precursor to dis-ease, in my opinion. So I look at a couple things. Number one is the nervous system and the vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is really like a super highway, and it basically carries all the signals from the gut to the brain and back and forth. So we need that vagus nerve to be well. About 80% of the vagus fibers send messages from the gut to the brain and not the other way around. Right? I would say 9 out of 10 signals go from the gut to the brain. 1 of 10 go from the brain to the gut. So everybody's working on the brain, but this is the brain. Like they call this the second brain. I call this the first brain.
Yes, for sure.
This is not second at all. This is first, because if I don't have this in check, this is not in check, right? No matter what. So it means like your gut microbiome and your environment is directly shaping your entire mood, your cognition, your stress response, your immune health. I mean, everything in the body is regulated by your gut. 70% of your immune system sits in your gut. So when the gut lining is leaky or inflamed, if there's fragments or whatever, if you have anything that's entering the bloodstream because of leaky gut, this is going to activate inflammatory cytokines, which then cross the blood-brain barrier. And then they trigger like microbial activation. So we have fungus in the brain, and we wonder why we have brain fog, and we have neuroinflammation, right? So this will show up as brain fog, low mood, anxiety, neurodegenerative diseases if it goes further along. And then, one other thing I would think is important to mention is the microbial metabolites and the chemicals that are produced from improper gut health. So our gut bacteria produce neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, GABA, right? As well as short chain fatty acids. And these feed the colon cells and they protect the blood-brain barrier. So if we don't have a balanced microbiome, we're not going to have mental clarity. We're not going to have mental resilience. We're going to have gut dysbiosis. And when we have dysbiosis, that produces neurotoxins like ammonia, and these impair the brain function. So no matter what you're doing to your brain, if your gut's not on par, you're not going to be able to get your health in check at all. So I look at the gut as the foundation of the body. Like I don't even start working on anybody's lymph system until I've worked on their gut.
Yeah. Carrie, awesome. What are a few things that you can suggest to people that are struggling with their gut currently? I know obviously you have your protocol and how you deal with it, but are there a few basic things that people can start doing today that you could suggest that are listening to the podcast? Like you mentioned a few in there, but what would be like the top 3 to 5 things you say someone could do or implement today?
So, I mean, one, red light therapy every day, especially with your light. It's so easy to just slap on your belly and go to sleep. So red light therapy is phenomenal for increasing the mitochondrial function. And I think what people need to understand about that, like you might not understand, first of all the cells are running off of light. Mm-hmm. So when they have more light, when everything has more light, everything works better. Think about it like, can you see in the dark? Mm-hmm. Right? If the cells have more light, they can actually increase their capability and their functionality to put out more ATP, but the light is also increasing the voltage. So when you increase cellular voltage, you have a higher repair and faster. So that's number one. So red light is amazing. The second thing I really love is ion gut support from Dr. Zach Bush. It's from 60 million year old soil water. It's like as diverse as it gets. It's not one of these lab made probiotics, prebiotics. It's like probiotics honestly are not that great for you. So you're taking a 5 to 7 strain probiotic, or maybe 20. You need thousands of diverse bacteria in your gut. So when you are actually taking, a lab made probiotic, you're overfeeding. It's called monocropping. It's almost like taking antibiotics. You're overfeeding 5 to 7 strands and you're starving out the rest. And so I'm not an advocate for probiotics and all the kombuchas and the kefirs and all the things people are on, because they're very limited strains. They're fed with sugar usually, and you're in overpopulation.
Yep.
So that's why I'm such an advocate for ion gut support, because it's just like, here it is. It's from soil. It's just the earth. Put it in. It's got all that biodiversity for you. So if you combine light and the ion gut support, you're going to see leaps and bounds of healing. But then adjust your diet, right? Like, you need to eat more living foods that are alive, like your fruits, your berries, your melons, your greens, the things that come from the trees. These all have light in them. They're light nutrients, and they're loaded with enzymes, antioxidants, carotenoids, polyphenols, right? These are the foods that actually increase your microbial diversity, increase your fiber eating bacteria, which strengthens your immune system. So many people are only eating animal products and nothing alive. And it's a big thing in the biohacking world, which is, we've got 5 years until we start seeing all the colon cancers,
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already working with them here at the clinic. There's so many that people in carnivore, and they have colon cancer. They've had to get a section of their colon removed.
Oh, goodness.
All kinds of issues. Yeah. It's not balance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything in nature is in balance. And so if we're only eating dead foods, we can't expect life. It's really that simple. So I look at your food as life, as light force. Is this bringing in life and light force into my body, or is it taking it away? So anything in a box, there's no light in that. There's also no enzymes in it. All the nutrients are dead. No matter what you see on the box, they're cooked out. So can you eat more living foods, get off the processed foods, and start to, make a really colorful diet? I think, and then combining with going outside, grounding, and getting more regular sunlight in addition to red light therapy. Those are some of the basics that everyone can do from home.
Yeah, simple advice. Very well said. I think people don't realize that, like you say, there are biophotons in all these things, and it's stored in the food. That's another reason why you should eat locally, because it's information. It's information that you're giving your body.
And I like to break that word up as information, right? So the body takes the information and forms it into whatever it needs to be inside of the body. So eating locally, eating, like seasonal foods is so important, and all of that. And so our diets are, I eat mostly raw plants, fresh living. And then, in the winter, I definitely have warm food at night and ground, but I just try to make sure I have enough diversity in my diet of living versus cooked, or living versus processed.
Yeah, of course. You have to be sensible and live in this world. But for sure, yeah, I'm totally on board. I like that kind of moderate approach. It was interesting what you said about carnivore. Is there anything else that you think is kind of in the current kind of biohacking longevity kind of zone that, it's something we should try and steer away from? I mean, I know there's quite a lot of strange things happening recently with all of the GLP-1s and different things like that. But what is it that you're really worried about, or not so much worried, but something that we should steer clear of? It's a fad.
I think there's so many, actually. It's been disconcerting from like not wanting to almost be in this space. Like,
yes.
One thing, let's just say in the carnivore side, animal products provide protein, and that's all we're focused on is protein, right? And some fat soluble vitamins are provided as well, but they don't have this full spectrum of micronutrients, antioxidants, plant phytonutrients. So every single time, and I have the technology here, I have biophoton scans, I have BTAs, all my carnivore eaters, their score, we need to be 50,000 or above to be able to repair ourselves. All my carnivore eaters are in the red. They're at 20,000 or below. Like, it's real dangerous. They're not in a great space. And so You also have a gut microbiome collapse because your microbiome thrives on prebiotic fibers and plant polysaccharides. So these actually ferment into short chain fatty acids. Like there's so many butyrate. I can't even say that one right, but they strengthen the gut line and they regulate the immune function and protect against colon cancer. Hence why I'm seeing so much colon cancer now. A carnivore diet starves out these bacteria and it causes microbial diversity to totally crash. And so you start to see pathogenic fungal overgrowth, white tongues, really bad breath, gut dysbiosis, leaky gut, systemic inflammation will come in time, brain fog, autoimmune, mood issues. And now people will say, oh, as soon as I went carnivore, I felt amazing. Well, they're missing why. They're literally eating steroids. I mean, that's what it is. You're getting adrenaline from the gland of the animal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you do feel better. You do feel euphoric. And in the beginning, the body will go into ketosis, right? The body will, because our body's natural engine is carbon. We're a carbon-based being, which actually means we thrive off of carbohydrates. And I'm not talking your processed crackers. I'm talking living foods, fruits, berries, melons, wild rice, whatever. Those things, carbohydrates is actually what runs our body. So when our body doesn't have carbon energy, if it doesn't have any carbohydrates, then it will go, well, I've got to use this fat and I've got to convert this fat and then burn it as glucose. So your body is taking a longer way. So you lose weight. In the beginning, you're basically on steroids. Everybody feels good's on steroids. And then over time, the adrenal fatigue begins to set in, the systemic inflammation begins to set in, the lack of microbial diversity sets in, and then we have a huge, huge downfall. So that's a big one. And then next, yes, GLP-1s, you named it. I have high concerns. I actually did a call it's on YouTube about GLP-1s and why not. GLP-1s are one of my sayings is, if you take it, you don't make it. Okay. So if you're taking GLP-1, it's a synthetic hormone. And so your body's not going to make its own. So when you get off of it, you're in big trouble. Right. So what you're seeing is that the brain gets tricked into the body is feeling full. It's slowing gastric emptying. It's altering the appetite signals. But this is not correcting a problem that they have. Most people don't realize that weight is waste. So they're thinking of calories in, calories out. But that's not the case. It's weight is waste. So when we have extra weight, it's because our lymph system can't get rid of the waste. So we need to address the whole system. What's going on with the liver? Do we have fatty liver? Most people on GLP-1s have fatty liver. So you get rid of fatty liver and you get the kidneys filtering and you get the gut strengthened, your weight will just fall off of you. The body's lymph system will start cleaning. Now, there's so many things, muscle loss, nutrient or like nutrient, not uptaking proper levels of nutrients, but having like a long-term dependency on this as well. We're seeing people go blind from it. I mean, so many things, blindness, diabetes developing. I mean, the list goes on. But the other thing that I really think is, if I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to lose some followers, is the peptide industry. And I'm not saying all bad. So I'm going to paint this picture. There's 3 lanes to health. There is the Western medicine route where it's like, hey, take this pill. It's not going to get rid of your problem, but it's going to mask your symptoms. And it'll probably cause a slew of other problems. But if that's the right path for you, like say you're 80 and you don't care, that's the right path for you. So I believe in sovereignty. Everybody should be able to choose their own path without judgment. You do you. If you want a pharmaceutical, absolutely. But I believe in allowing people to know there's options.
Yes.
So lane 1 is pharma lane. Lane 2 is this biohacking world, functional med, naturopathy, biohacking. Okay, well, I don't really want to change them all my life, but I want to hack my way to health. So I'm going to take these supplements. I'm going to use these cool tools. I'm going to use light therapy and hot and cold plunging, but I'm going to go slam a steak and drink a martini, right? I mean, that's kind of the biohacking world.
Yes, you got it.
That's exactly it. I'm going to slam a steak and have 6 martinis, but I'm going to have red light therapy and hot and cold plunge, and I'm going to do a ventilative hydrogen after, right? This is the middle lane of okay, you're hacking your health. You're not actually honing homeostasis in the body. You're not. It's the extremes. And this is the peptide lane. So I'm going to just give you an example. Say you need a peptide for melanin. This is a really popular one right now. Everybody's really loving this because they're like, oh, I'm getting so tan. Now that I have the melanin peptide injection. Do you know why your skin's not producing melanin? Because your pituitary isn't working. And if your pituitary is not working, it's because your gut's not working. There's the core. So fix the gut, fix the pituitary, fix the pituitary, fix the skin. So a peptide injection is a Band-Aid of a bigger, deeper problem. Like BPC 157 can be very helpful in an acute situation. Someone gets in an accident, they need fast support or recovery. Absolutely. Get that peptide in there, help them out. But it's acute care, in my opinion. It's not root cause. And then we have this third lane, which is regenerative health. And I think you get it. Get to the root. Get to the pituitary and the gut, fix it, fix the skin. Get to the root of why the adrenals aren't working, restore the adrenals, and then you don't need a peptide or a stem cell injection or any of that stuff. So I would say peptides and stem cells are the holistic Band-Aids that don't get to the root.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah.
And Gary, I also wanted to ask you to go a little bit further into courses that you have for practitioners. What would you say are the main things that a practitioner, like if they're listening for the first time, can benefit from doing these courses? And what are the main pillars that you sort of try hone into to help practitioners obviously have this broad understanding of how to approach their clients differently?
Yeah, great question. So our practitioner training is really intensive. It's amazing. There's 8 different modules. It's a 9-month program. It's basically like you're getting your master's degree in 9 months. We just cut straight to the chase. We don't give you any like social studies to teach health, right? There's none of those prerequisites. And so what we do is that module 1 is the most hardy module, and you're learning all about the body, the biology, anatomy, physiology, biology of the body. You're not studying every organ and everything, but we're basically studying the lymphatic system, the gut health, the blood system, the cellular health, understanding how the endocrine system works, and the causations of disease. So that's module 1, and it's very, very in depth. We've had a ton of doctors and nurses and chiropractors and acupuncturists take our program. Even my kid's pediatrician took our program, and they said, Carrie, I learned more here than in medical school. And so we go deep in module 1 into that. In module 2, it is all about like modalities. What tools can we put in our kit? Sarah Thrive is in our kit, right? So this is a tool in our kit that we use as to, okay, if somebody can do all these things for free, change your diet, this is the way to health. If they want to hit the accelerator pedal and they want to maximize their healing potential, then they can take this lane. So we put a whole toolkit together of how to solve these problems holistically and actually get to the root and repair it. And then we have an entire module that's on the electric and the voltage view of the body, where people are not looking and they're not paying attention to understanding negative 50 millivolts is needed minimum in an acute state to repair a cell, repair damage. So we go deep into the science of that. We have tons of speakers inside the Institute. Dr. Jerry Tennant is one of them from Healing is Voltage. I've been so blessed to film with him in person and study with him. We have Alina she's the top longevity doctor from Berkeley and Harvard. We have, so many. With Brain Tap, Dr. Patrick Porter. We have all these speakers inside the Institute that put together our curriculum. But the foundation is anatomy and physiology, advanced modalities, understanding the voltage in the electric view, the energetic anatomy of illness and wellness. So understanding the trauma, the emotions, somatic therapies, neurolinguistic programming, all the things that can address the emotional body are all in there. And then we have two really fun sections called facial mapping and body mapping. So, sometimes women are getting Botox. They don't have these little lines. You can tell we're Botox-free ladies, but they don't realize that a lot of those lines are liver imbalance or spleen imbalance. And when they get rid of heavy metal toxicity, like the lines across the forehead go away. Right now, we all emote. We're going to get lines eventually, ladies. Like, it's okay. But premature lines are a sign of an internal imbalance. So we talk about the signs on the nails, like so when people have the white marks on their nails, they don't realize there's a zinc deficiency. So recognition from the body recognition is one module. Another module is iridology, where you get to actually take a picture of an eye and you can tell exactly what's going on in their body. And from the acute state, like in the now, and also what might has transpired generationally, even emotionally. And then we have an entire business module. That's the last module, is module 8. And it's really my passion. It was to help people not work hours for dollars. And so in this business section, I train you how to do massive group programs where you work with 30, 40, 50 women at a time, bringing in 50K a month, working 2 hours a week. And we built out everything in the Institute. So I built out 20 pre-built 20-week programs of the most common diseases I worked with over the last decade. And they're yours to sell as your own. We built the entire back end for you. All the courses, workflows, legal waivers, everything's done. Everything you need is done. So that's kind of it, just in a nutshell. They can expect to become a certified regenerative health practitioner. They can expect to have probably the deepest level of knowledge in the natural health world. I've had functional medicine doctors come to me saying, I'm stuck and they get better. And I'm not saying I know it all. I'm saying it has been a journey of humbly unlearning what I thought I knew. Right? Like unlearning and being like,
yes,
right?
Sure.
I knew nothing. Okay. Right. And I do feel like I've been blessed to have the right teachers brought into my path. And so this is not just Carrie's wisdom. This is a culmination of some of the most brilliant minds in the world all brought in one place.
Yeah, for sure. And you certainly walk the walk. And I know how much effort you put into that course. I remember at the time when you were really trying to get that finished. So kudos to you. I think it's an amazing course. I know we've got a few rapid fire questions for you at the end that Chantel's got, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And maybe you can just tell people where they can find you before we do the little tester at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So carriedrinkwine.com is the easiest. And that will link into my Institute of Regenerative Health if you're wanting to become a practitioner. My clinic is on there, Wise Wellness. If you just want either to be a consumer, I have, DIY online programs that you can buy for really cheap and heal your body from home, or you can work with one of our clinicians in person or virtually. And then also you'll find Regenerative Soul Institute all on carriedrinkwine.com. It'll pull you out into their separate websites, but we'll keep it simple for today.
Yeah, fabulous.
Amazing. Thanks, Carrie. Okay, so we're going to do a rapid fire rounds where it's just first thing that comes to mind. There's 5 little questions. The first one is your favorite daily detox ritual.
Oh, great. Well, so my favorite daily detox ritual, I think everything is always about balance, is I drink pure molecular hydrogen water every single morning. But then I also do a high level of citrus, ginger, and cayenne that I drink just every morning, because your lymph system when you wake up in the morning is actually cleaning for the first 5 hours. So the worst thing we can do is eggs, bacon, and a coffee. So you want to wake your body up with electricity, electrolytes, hydration. So I do molecular hydrogen, lemon, ginger, and cayenne, and red light therapy first thing in the morning.
And then if you had to choose between sunrise and sunset, I know that.
I have to say sunrise. I have to. I mean, it is your morning cup of joe. People are reaching for coffee, but what they don't realize is it's because the melatonin hasn't suppressed in their system, right? So when you go outside without contacts or glasses and you look at the sun, automatically the body and the brain starts actually suppressing the melatonin and increasing your natural cortisol, so that that's your morning cup of coffee. So most people you just need that light.
And then one food you would never go without.
Fruit.
And the best way to
it's the most electric food on the planet.
Yeah.
Favorite fruit?
I would say watermelon, mango, and grapes. I love them all. And red grapes are incredible. I actually healed my body on red grapes.
And then best way to pair red light with daily habits.
Oh gosh, it's so easy with your guys' unit. So for me, I have a 10-minute breath work that I do every morning and every night. One is like a rising, one is a setting. So what I do is I have my red light right by my bed. So I just put it right on my belly. I put my headphones on and I do my 10-minute breath work with my red light therapy at the same time. So for me, it's easy peasy. But if you're a mom and you're not in breath work and you're not doing morning meditation with your unit, it's so easy. You just strap it on and do the laundry, like do the dishes, like anything. My kids run around with your unit on their head, and Ash is like, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he's like running around. So even my kids get red light therapy in their gut and their brain because your unit is so wearable and easy. I just love it.
Thank you.
Amazing. I love seeing the videos of the kids because it does look like a superhero costume.
Yeah, he literally is a superhero.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the biggest mindset shift you teach in your course, or that you feel is a highlight in the course that you teach? I know you've spoken a lot today already about the mindset shift, but if there's a little highlight that you could share.
I think it's really simple of healing is a choice on every single level. And when it comes to the mind, we all know mindset is important, but I like to bring it to the quantum level. Like literally every single word you think or speak is creating a ripple in your field. And so when you're saying, I can't heal, I can't heal, I can't heal, it's echo, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
You're literally, what you put out is what you pull in. What you pull out is what you pull in.
Mm-hmm.
It's toroidal energy. So just like, I know it's so stupid and cliche, but everything you think, everything you say is creating your reality. Every single thing. Even when you're worried about like, I don't want that to happen, all the universe hears is that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm.
So I just think really tend your terrain of your words and your thoughts.
That's right. Do you remember Mike
Amazing.
Dooley, thoughts become things? Do you
Thoughts
remember?
things all the time. I mean, I'm living proof of that. There was like something I was like, oh my God, I hope this doesn't happen. And the exact thing happened.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, oh, okay. I see how powerful I am. All right. Let's do that.
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good reframe.
Where intention
like
goes, energy flows.
Mhm.
And just one last little one that I love doing is if you had one thing you could put on a billboard for everyone to see, what would it be? One sentence or a word or a phrase.
You are infinitely capable beyond measure, honestly. Like everyone, like you're capable of healing. You're capable of thriving. You're capable of building wealth. You're capable of living a perfect and vital life. And all of the beliefs that we don't is just, you're just a shitty narrator, to be honest. Like we have written this bad story, and all of us came in with the innate ability to heal ourselves.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for being such a beacon of light on that kind of note for people to follow. It's really great to see what you're doing. And I hope our paths cross soon, Carrie. It'd be great to see you in person again. Thank you so much for taking the time today. I know you're a very busy lady, so we really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Breaking the gray.